Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fables knitting podcast. My name is Faith and I'm a knitter living here in Kansas, and this is my space where I talk all about my knitting, spinning, and just love of yarn. Today I have a traditional podcast. I have some finished objects to talk about, and I also have a few whips. So if that's something you think you'd be interested in, then I hope you enjoy. So I think this podcast might be a little bit shorter than my regular ones. I apologize if you hear any weird noises. My cat Terry is playing, so she might pop up here or something. So I apologize if that's very distracting. So I am wearing my gown cardigan Aran that I test knit for Sewrella. I've talked about it in a previous episode, so I won't really show you what it looks like on me. I have it posted on Instagram, but I used Patons Classic Wool Worsted in the color Pine. But yeah, it's a really oversized 3x1 ribbed cardigan, and I kind of want to make another one. But that is what I'm wearing. I also have some hand knit socks on. I knit these last year, in the beginning of last year, and they're knit in a 100% superwash merino wool, and there are no holes. The color just has faded on the heels. So yeah, so like I said, I have two finished objects, and the first one is a pair of socks, and these are what they look like. So this is just my sock recipe. I'll go into that a little bit later. I didn't write down when I finished these. I have my notes over here, so I'll put it over here when I finish these socks, so you can kind of gauge how long it took me to make these. But I started them on the 24th of April, and the yarn I used is Knitted Wit Sock, which is an 80/20. And with most sock yarns that are an 80/20, I find that they're a 2-ply. This one is a 4-ply 80/20, so the yarn is very dense and really stiff when you're working with it, but it still maintains that dense quality of it, but it's also like pretty drapey once you like wash it and stuff. But this is in the color Bryce Canyon National Park, which is almost a micro stripe variegated yarn. I really like these. I bought this yarn last year in October or November, and it's been sitting in my stash since then. But yeah, I'll put up how much yarn I used. I didn't write it in my notes, and I can't use my iPad for Ravelry notes at the moment. But this yarn cost me $33, which I've never spent that much money on a hand-dyed sock yarn. It's only been like $25. This was $33, which I think is kind of crazy, but whatever. I haven't worn these yet because I want to keep them nice for the podcast. But what I did is I always cast on 64 stitches for all of my socks. And I knit 20 rows of 1x1 rib for the cuff, so it's a pretty chunky rib. I knit 33 rows of stockinette for the leg. And I always do a slip stitch, heel, and gusset, and I decrease 9 times. And then I knit the foot until it measures 7.5 inches measured from over here, and then I do my toe decreases and I decrease to 12 stitches, and that's how I knit my socks. So, and with the heel flap and gusset, I split the 64 stitches in half, so my slip stitch heel is 32 stitches, if you're curious. But yeah, another pair of socks, and I really like how they turned out. Now I can wear them. So okay, my next finished object is a test knit. It is the Brora Pullover Light by Brianna Mason. She goes by Woolbird Knits on Instagram. I've test knitted for her, and I test knit the Brora Pullover, which is a thicker version of the sweater. Yeah, you guys probably already know that, but I finished the Brora Pullover Light, and I'm not going to be able to show this like in frame, so I will put in a video of me wearing it. But this is what it looks like, and it is all done, and I love it. So I started this on the 1st of April, and I finished it on the 24th of May, and this was due on the 25th, so I was really cutting it close, but I started my new job, and I didn't have a lot of time to knit, but anyway, I'll talk about that later. So the yarn I used is Jody Long Airspun, which is a color fading gradient yarn. It is a blown yarn. It is, I think, 70-something% superfine merino, and the rest is polyamide. This is in the color Sapphire. And I test knit size 3, which is a finished bust of 48.75 inches, which is about 10 inches of positive ease for me. And I used 4 skeins. I think I touched the 4th skein, but I didn't use all of it. But yeah, it's really, really drapey, and it grew a lot with blocking. The neckline is a little floppy, and it kind of curls in a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it. This is a really lightweight sweater that I think I can get a lot of wear of during these warmer months, and that was kind of the intention of this sweater anyway, because there's a thick version of the sweater, and then there's a thinner version. This is knit on a 4mm needle, but yeah, no, I really enjoy test knitting for Brianna Mason. The group chat's optional, and yeah, her patterns are super easy to follow along. I love the way she writes everything out. It's amazing. So it's a circular yoke sweater. So if you've knit a colorwork sweater before, you increase all around a certain amount of stitches. So you'll increase every 4th, and then the next time you increase, you'll increase every 5th, 6th, and it goes on. But one detail that I really like about the sweater is that when you do the split hem, you do some decreases in the ribbing. So it kind of looks like this for the front, and then on the back it's more dramatic because the back is supposed to be longer than the front. So you have this really pretty decrease line where you have some of the rib and then the rest is stockinette. I'm gonna see if I can show this better. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, like right there, which I think is really nice. But yeah, no, I'm a little upset with how my ribbing turned out. It's the nature of a blown yarn. It's the nature of a blown yarn to just have uneven stitches and especially uneven rib. But around the neck, it looks fine. And especially when I was knitting flat, it looks neater. But then on the sleeves, it turned out horrible. This one looks better than this one. I think this was the first one I knit. Yeah, it's not pretty, and it's not really that pretty on the, well, I guess it is, but I'm not too upset about it. I knit with blown yarn a lot, and it doesn't really bother me that the ribbing's uneven. It's whatever. But no, this yarn did grow a lot when blocking. I let it soak for 30 minutes, which I've been trying to block my knits longer. Usually I just let them sit in the water for 10 minutes. But I've heard a lot of people, they usually block their knits for 30 minutes to an hour. So I tried 30 minutes, and the sleeves probably go this far past my hands or my fingers. And this is kind of like a tunic. It's just a really nice, long, oversized sweater. And I think it'll look really good with leggings and just be like a cozy little number. But I really want to knit another one of these in a yarn that's not as out there as this one. This yarn has been in my stash since July or even June of last year, so almost a year. And I had no clue what to use with this yarn. I mean, I didn't know what project I wanted it to go in, and I tried knitting it with a whole bunch of things. I test knit the List Toque by Jenny Gillard with this yarn, but I still had so much of it left over, and I just decided to use it for this. And I have a skein and I think 70 grams left. So I don't know what I'm gonna use with that. I think I might knit a scarf as a Christmas gift for someone this year, but I have no clue. But I'm happy I got to use a majority of it for this test knit. I'm not sure when the pattern's coming out. Everything was just due on the 25th, and I sent out my email yesterday and haven't heard anything back yet, but I will let you guys know when this is available. I do not have a lot of works in progress to show you. I have 15 works in progress that that I work on, and they're all active. 2 of them are test knits. I always like to have 2 test knits on the needles, so if we don't count test knits as my works in progress, I have 13. I like having that many works in progress, but today I only have 3 to show you. Because when I get closer to a deadline on my test knits, I work on them every other day, but since both of my test knits were coming to an end, I was alternating between those 2. So I only got to work on 3 other projects, which is fine. I'm happy I got my test knits done. My Alino tee is done. It's just blocking in the other room, and I didn't want to pick it up and show it here on the podcast because it's a cotton bamboo blend and it's very heavy and I don't want it to stretch out like crazy. So I will show that in the next podcast. But that's why I only have 3 of my works in progress to show you. So that's why this video is going to be a little bit shorter. But I have my Moonset tee by Ozetta to show you. I started this on the 11th of March. Oh, hold on. Before we get into this, my Brora pullover light cost $84 in total with all the yarn. I didn't have to pay for the pattern because it was sent to me for the test knit. But no. Okay, now we can talk about this. Started this on the 11th of March, and the yarn I'm using is Knotty Pine Fiber Co. Bighorn Sock, which is an 80/20, and it's a 2-ply. And this is in the color Whiskey River, and when you put this in the light, it kind of looks yellow, but then when, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a very, very pretty color. I'm knitting the size medium, which will give me should give me a finished bust of 41 inches, but I am a tighter knitter, and I am 2 stitches over the pattern gauge. So I might have a smaller garment. We'll see how this blocks. This is a superwash merino, but I got a significant amount of this done. That's how far I got done that's how much I got done on the body since last time we spoke, which is crazy. I was on a Zoom call with a friend, and I was on a Zoom call with Jenny from Honeybird Studio, and we were on that call for 6 hours, and I didn't go to bed till 1 a.m. that night, but it was great. So that's how I got all of this done, pretty much all this progress done. But yeah, no, it's slowly taking shape. It's knit on 3.25 millimeter needles. But yeah, I want one of these in just every single color. I think I said that on my last podcast, but this is so pretty and I can't wait for it to be done. It'd be nice to wear to work. What I have to wear to work is business casual. That's the dress code, I guess. So I've been looking at all of my knits like, oh, I can wear this to work and I can wear this to work. So yeah, I like that this v-neck isn't very deep as well. So, but yeah, no, if you haven't knit one of these, I'd recommend it. It's very, very mindless and super, super fun to knit. The next project that I have to show you is my Dunes cardigan by Kadri. And I started this on the 1st of May. And the yarn I'm using is Patons Classic Wool Worsted in the color Natural Mix, which is a sandy gray-brown color. And I'm knitting the size medium, which will give me a finished bust of 44.5 inches. I haven't, actually, no, I did. So far I've used 3 skeins. This is my 3rd. My gauge is off by 2 stitches and I'm over row gauge by 4 rows, which is fine. But this is what it looks like. I got a lot done since the last time I talked here on the podcast. I finished the body, as you can see, and I did not mess up the lace like I did last time. And it's so pretty. Oh, that's so great. Yeah. And I picked up stitches for the sleeve. And that is what I'm working on. I have a few more rows before I do the lace. And then you do some decreases and then you knit the cuff. So the lace on the sleeve is just 2 of these repeats. But this is longer than what the pattern tells you to do. So she has you in the pattern, like right when you join everything under the arm, she has you immediately go into this lace, which makes it a very cropped cardigan. But I didn't want a mega cropped cardigan, so I knit to 5 inches measured under the arm in stockinette, and then I did 5 repeats of the lace, and then I knit 14 rows of 1x1 rib. So this, for a full length garment that'll fit me nice, I knit the body until it measures 14 inches measured under the arm, not including the rib. This is about 11 or 12 inches measured under the arm, so it's fairly cropped. It hits just below my belly button, which I'm totally fine with. I was okay with having a cropped cardigan, but I'm kind of happy that it turned out a little bit longer. So yeah, that's what it's looking like so far. Just have a little bit of the sleeve left, and then I'll pick up for the button band, and then I will do the other sleeve and it will be done. I have a sock project to show you, and I'm really excited about this one. So I started this on the 17th of May, and I am knitting the Farnesina socks by the New York Gear, which is a textured socks. And this is my first time doing a cabled sock. I've done textured socks before, but this one is different. So the yarn I'm using is Sewrella Classic Sock, which is 100% superwash merino wool. And this is in the color alpine. So yeah, so this is what it looks like. This is what the sock looks like. It has this chevron in the middle and these 2 cables on the side, and the rest is stockinette. So this has been really fun to knit. It's all your textures right here, and it's pretty easy to memorize. You just have these crosses that you do. If you've knit the Ingrid sweater before, or the Moby sweater or anything like that, it's the same technique used here. And then these are just left cross cables, I believe. But yeah, no, this is really, really fun to knit on. The only thing I don't like is the yarn. I'm not sure if all of Sewrella's yarn is like this, but she seems pretty hyped up. You know, like everyone loves her and stuff. This yarn stained like my fingers green. And my needles are not supposed to be this dark. They're a light bamboo color, and now they're almost like black. So I don't think I will be using Sewrella's yarn if the dye comes off this bad. If you do use Sewrella yarn and this hasn't happened and it's maybe just this colorway, let me know. But I hate yarn that the dye just comes off and it stains my hands. Because it took a while to get that stain off of my fingers. So whatever. But no, I really love these socks and I've had them on my list for a while and I'm happy that I'm finally getting around to them. And I'm happy I'm using this yarn. I got this from the yarn from a Copy Dolls D-stash in September of last year. So that's how long it's been in my stash. And I'm happy that I'm finally using it. So yeah, I can't wait to have these done. But yeah, so that's all of the knitting content I have to talk about. It's not a lot, but that's just realistic of how much I got done during these past couple of weeks. I just started my new job and everything like that. My next video will be a vlog that I might start today. So that way I can have a decent amount of things to show. I'm not sure how it's gonna look like with me working and stuff, but we'll see. So yeah, I am on Instagram if you would like to follow me. My username is the.redhead.knits, and I'm on Ravelry as Knits by Faith. I do post on Instagram quite frequently, so if you would like to see any project updates, you can find them there. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you're new here and you like my content or like this video, feel free to subscribe. And I will see you guys next week.